Hey guys, today I want to show you a peek inside my fridge. Now, the reason why I want to do this is because when you enjoy a real food lifestyle, you find that you're filling your fridge with a lot of fresh, real ingredients. And since these ingredients don't contain preservatives, they tend to go bad. And so if you're not storing your ingredients properly, you're probably going to end up wasting your money and not actually using what you purchased, or if you have a garden, what you grew. So today I want to show you some of the tips and tricks that I have learned to keeping my food fresh for longer, and also show you how exactly I organize my fridge. Now, real quick, before I show you inside my fridge, let me just tell you why I think it's so important to organize your fridge. And we're not talking about some kind of like perfectionistic standard here. Instead, we're just simply talking about having some type of organization so you can find what's in your fridge. Because if you can't find what's in there and you can't actually see it, you're probably not going to use it, and ingredients are going to go to waste, and then you're going to waste your money. So let me show you a peek inside my fridge and how exactly I do this. My best tip for organizing the fridge is to place like things together by grouping them. So for example, I try to place all the foods that I prepped or leftovers. For example, I'll use like the cook once, eat twice method, where if we have dinner, then I can reuse those ingredients later in the week. I'll try to group all of those together on one shelf. And then something like greens, I'll group all of those on another shelf. And fruit or berries, I'll group all on another shelf. Now, this isn't always perfect, but this is what I try to do because it's easier to find things when like things are together. Now, let me show you. Okay, let's start at the top. So this is where I store all of my prepped foods, ready to go things you can reheat and eat. So that we have a hash that I made yesterday and we enjoyed this morning, some muffins, some granola I prepped a couple of weeks ago, some roasted hazelnuts, which is great on pancakes or sprinkled on yogurt, some fried rice that I also prepped ahead for lunches, and then some leftover chicken, which we're going to enjoy for lunches this week. Now, as far as storage containers, I really like these. You can find them at Target or on Amazon. They are the Pyrex glass storage containers, and they come in different sizes, which is great for storing different things. My second favorite containers are these Snapware containers. They also are a glass bottom. I found these at Costco a few years ago, but I think you can also find them now at Target. And then finally are these meal prep containers, and I'll be sure to link all of these in the show notes so you can easily find them and purchase them, and I highly recommend them. I've been using them for years. Let's move down to the second shelf. Now again, I talked about grouping like things, so I have my berries together so we always know where to look. Now for berries, I like to wash my berries ahead of time, and I use a vinegar bath, which I'll link to that method in the show notes. You can click on that to learn more about it. And then I completely dry them and then store them with a napkin on the bottom so that it absorbs the moisture. And this will keep them for about a week. This isn't any kind of like miracle, extend the life for weeks and weeks and weeks method, but it is going to make them last a little bit longer, and that's really important for us. Now you can see I have some green beans here that need to be used from the market last week. I have some prepared guacamole from Whole Foods, the produce section, and then finally I have some raspberries. I don't use that same method with my raspberries because raspberries are so delicate, so I just know when I purchase raspberries, we need to be using them ASAP, one of the first things we're consuming. Okay, let's move over to this shelf. Now this shelf is a little bit random as far as just things that didn't fit in other places. So I have some more prepared foods. This is actually a soup that we had for dinner last night, and I knew it was going to make a lot, so it could then be doubled. So cook once, eat twice for lunches during the week, and then some toppings for that soup. Underneath the soup, you'll find some roasted beets. I am not a big fan of beets, but I love them roasted. So when they're in season at the market, I'll buy them, roast them up, and then toss them in smoothies throughout the week. And we get those added vegetables, and it's just really delicious and produces the prettiest pink smoothie, which my daughter loves. Now, these are green onions. Now, if you've ever bought green onions and they've become limp or just go bad really fast, you know how frustrating that is. So my method is that I actually place the green onions, you can see down here the roots, in water, change this water out every few days, and then place a bag with a rubber band over the top. You know how old these onions are? Over 2 weeks old, and they are still going strong. I mean, that's awesome, and that's a great way to keep your produce fresh and save money because I've been using the same green onions for a couple of weeks now. Now, if you look back here, I have some Clementines. These are currently on sale right now at the grocery store, and I just keep them in a bowl because it's easier for us to reach and for the kids to see, and it just makes them really appealing. So when the kids are like, hey, I'm hungry, I want a snack, they can easily reach into that bowl and find a Clementine. Now here you're gonna see that I'm grouping like things. I'm grouping all my greens together. And so these containers, these OXO containers, they're called produce keepers. They're fantastic. You can find them on Amazon or at other home stores. I store my greens in these. They'll keep my greens fresh for a couple of weeks. They use charcoal filters, coconut charcoal filters on top in order to keep your produce fresh. And then back here, you're gonna find all of my herbs. I use the same method for storing my herbs as you saw with my green onions. And I will link to how I store my herbs down below so you can click on that and read more. Now back here, I'm going to move these over. You can see that I have another one of these containers from OXO, and I have some beet greens in here. They came with the beets that I roasted. I took off the tops, kind of chopped them up to make them smaller, and I will mix those in with my smoothies. You know, kale and spinach are so popular, but you can really use other greens as well to blend in smoothies or saute, and you really get more out of your produce that way. Now, let's move over to these containers. This is a vinaigrette that I made the other night for dinner. Again, I made it once, and now it's gonna last throughout the week for lunches and for dinners. So the idea of like cooking once, eating twice. And then if you look back here, I have another mason jar, which these are just plain ball mason jars with some of their plastic lids. You can find these on Amazon or at Target. I definitely recommend these over the metal lids. They last longer and they're easier to use. I have some turmeric and some ginger that I bought at the market a couple of weeks ago. Now I do the same method that you're gonna see in a minute with my carrots, which is I basically just fill a jar with water and change out the water every few days, and then store chunks of turmeric and ginger in that water. And again, this is like a couple weeks old now. It really keeps this fresh, and you just change out the water every few days. Okay, here are some eggs. I usually get my eggs from a local farm, but when I can't pick them up from the farm, I will get Vital Farms eggs. You can find these at Target. I mean, you can find just about anywhere these days. They're from pasture-raised hens. Underneath here, you're gonna find another Snapware container of celery. I cut up my celery and store it in water and then change out the water every couple of days. Moving on, you're gonna find some yogurt. I like plain yogurt, and then we'll sweeten it with honey or maple syrup or fruit. But my kids and Dustin really like vanilla yogurt. So as you'll see back here, I also sometimes buy the Stonyfield vanilla yogurt. Now the carrots, they're in two separate jars because one jar wasn't big enough to hold all the carrots I had. But I do the same trick as I use with the ginger and turmeric and also the celery, and that is I store them cut up in water and then change out the water every couple days. This keeps them super crisp and fresh, and also very hydrated when I put them in the kids' lunch boxes so that they're not all dry by the time they eat them. Finally, back here you're gonna find some raw milk, and then in the very back I have some almond milk and then some heavy cream. Now let's move to the bottom. In the produce drawers, you're just going to find some fruit based on whatever is on sale or in season. And then in the vegetable drawer, I have a mixture of some veggies left over from the market last week, as well as some stuff I picked up at the store this week. I also, in this blue container, have some shredded cabbage. I picked it up at the market a week ago, noticed it was about to go bad, and decided to shred it up as motivation to use it for slaw this week and tacos. Okay. Down in my meat and cheese drawer, you're going to find some meats that I'm going to prepare this week, some ground beef from a local farm, and then some sausage from Whole Foods, some leftover sourdough bread, dates, which are from Trader Joe's, best deal on dates, some fresh mozzarella from Trader Joe's, Kerrygold butter, and then in this little bin, I store cheeses and any cured meats that we may have. So I have some prosciutto. If I don't feel like cooking dinner, I can make a meat and cheese board. I have some pepperoni for a recipe I'm actually testing, and then a bunch of different cheeses. I almost forgot about the radishes sitting on my counter. These are radishes from the market. Now these came with tops. My tops didn't look so great, but you can use the tops. So I cut the tops off, and I store my radishes in water. Again, change out the water every couple of days. Now you could put a lid on these. I don't have one right now. And these will stay fresh and crisp. I'm gonna add these to the fridge up here. Now let's talk about the sides of the fridge. So over here I have some kombucha. This is actually local kombucha. It was on sale this week, so I picked it up. Hemp seeds, some leftover chocolate chips, and of course, some wine. On this side I have all my condiments. Ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise. Right now I have the Chosen Foods brand in here. I just look for ingredients that I would recognize when I buy a brand, and that can vary. Some tamari sauce, some seed and nut butters. My kids go to a nut-free school, so you're gonna find some sunflower seed in here, tahini, one of my absolute favorite ingredients, particularly for salad dressing, some local sauerkraut, and down here you're gonna find some messy maple syrup and some natural dye left over from Christmas. Thanks for joining me today for the fridge tour. I hope it was helpful. Remember, the goal of keeping your fridge organized is just to help you be able to find your food and then put it to use. Because when you have things hiding in bags and rotting, you're not actually putting the food that you're buying to use, which means that you're wasting your money and you're not really eating those ingredients as you planned. So keeping an organized fridge and being able to clearly see stuff really is an advantage. It's not about like showing off your fridge online, but it's really about helping you make this real food lifestyle possible.